Hi, my name's Rookz, and I'm an independent entrepreneur. I started, I don't know if you guys have already seen KR in one of these incredible videos with Dixon, but I started because I was just hanging out with him at the studio, and I was actually doing security somewhere, and it was the first place Tory Lanez had ever performed, and a lot of the artists in Toronto like Johnny Rookz and Kim Davis and Layla Day, and all these people would go to this one open mic that I was doing security at. And I would bring people to the studio, and he was like, "You're really good at this. You should be a manager." I was like, "I don't know nothing about management." He's like, "You should do it." So we went out on a hunt, and we found an artist that I really liked. We don't say, shall not be named, because I worked with them for 4 years, and then it ended pretty tumultuously, which is okay. I think that's okay in business, that like you start something and then it doesn't end the way that you anticipated it. Your whole job is just to like learn from that. But yeah, like 4 years later, she was one of the most well-known artists in the city of Toronto. And so a lot of people wanted to work with me, and I didn't really know at the time. I had a really great full-time job, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had a couple of other side companies that were actually doing a lot better than music. Music was kind of something I did because I had the resources to do it and the network to do it. But yeah, I decided to go all in and opened up Sandbox Studios, which then was called The Lab. And then, yeah, 6 years later, here we are. So in the city of Toronto right now, I am the CEO of Sandbox Studios, which is one of the most successful and well-known urban recording studios and creative facilities in Toronto. And I'm also the executive director of one of the longest running and most well-known not-for-profits in Toronto called Manifesto, that is an urban art and culture community organization. And outside of that, I consult a lot for labels and create viability plans for artists. I think business acumen is half like your emotional intelligence and how you move through the world and who you decide to be. And I think the other side of it is actually like the real, every business is run with the same, analytics, metrics, measurements. And I think it's really understanding those and, the operational side of business and how you do things. And so, I kind of learned through failing, like I never did my taxes. Then I got in trouble. I wouldn't schedule people properly, then I'd double book. Like a lot of the things that I ended up, CRMs and all this software that I use now, not knowing when it was a client's birthday or them coming in and us not saying happy birthday, those feelings, they didn't feel good for me. So I was like, how can I do this and optimize this and become more efficient at it? And then I started to realize that everything about efficiency and effectiveness was what big corporations and companies, they have down to a T. It's the foundation of their organization. So I became really obsessed with learning operational management and project management. And it really moved me from kind of this like music manager kind of person into like this music executive, which gave me a plethora of knowledge on just like how the industry works and how things coexist in the ecosystem of music here in Toronto. And so I really focused in on urban music, and so I wanted to learn everything that was missing there. So that's kind of what really fueled my desire to like have such a sharp business acumen. Was like, people don't know what publishing is. They don't know how royalties work. They don't know the difference in territories. They don't know how to do anything. And so, yeah, I became obsessed with it. I think like even right now, like if there's free studio time, and like my staff are practicing, I'll go in the booth and like I'll make music, and I'll actually make a really great song. Like I'm not even like hyping myself up, but like that's because the talent is there. I think talent, everybody has talent. Everyone talks about talent like it's like this, I don't know, this like one in a million. That's not true. I think skills and business development mixed with talent is how you make a really commercial and successful artist. But I think artists in general, we all have a creativity to us. We all have ways to, express creativity. And the difference to me between being an artist and being like on the business side of it is that the business side kind of controls the artist if the artist doesn't know the business. So, like you'll see artists come and go all the time, but the same executives are the same executives on TLC's project that will still be here 20, 30 years later on the next girl group's project. Like when you're behind the scenes, you stay forever. I think you have the ability to last forever. unless you're an artist that understands the business. And when we look at people like that, like the Diddy's, the Beyoncé's, the Rihanna's, they're just as, if not more accomplished business people as they are creatives and artists. One's just statistical for all women, especially women of color, especially black women. We're the most underfunded and underinvested demographic in the world. Black women receive the lowest amount of investment from banks, like angel investors, just anybody who's like, this seems like a good idea, let me fund it. Black women, they're at the bottom of that list. So that's a first challenge, but is a part of the reason why I'm the only owner here, and I've been able to figure out how to really manage businesses much better because, you know, I had to figure it out. Second challenge in Toronto is a lot of the music that's developed in this city is funded through not-for-profit organizations or grants, which are public tax dollars that get put back into the system. And I think one of the challenges there is that we're not a not-for-profit. And a lot of black businesses, especially in black music, urban music, is that it's from a social impact funding place. Like, it's like, let's fund the idea of having these young creatives make music for violence intervention instead of like actual economic impact. Or let's start a recording studio in a neighborhood because we don't want kids outside, versus let's actually develop and build creativity. So a lot of the music that is funded in Canada is from that social impact and not the economic impact. So as an urban studio in a country where that market is underrepresented and a little, surprisingly enough, with some of the biggest urban artists globally, still under-respected. You know, even in terms of like where other places can get, you know, funding. Like, I remember when I first started Sandbox, I'll never forget, as a recording studio, in order to get free money, you have to make over $100,000 a year. So it's like, do I need free money if I make $100,000 a year? And you know, so like well, even when you do, you actually do still need support. But the fact of the matter is, it's very hard to start until you get to a certain place. I feel really fortunate now that I've gotten to the place where I can start having some of those conversations. But I think, yeah, just like being a young entrepreneur in Toronto, specifically in this demographic and the community I serve, it's been extremely challenging. One of my biggest challenges with this word entrepreneur is that people assume that if they like to do something, they should start a business with it. It's not true. Like, if you like to do something, put yourself in the best position to do that thing. So, you know, there might be a company that is better fit for hiring you than you working for yourself. And so, yeah, in terms of like breaking even, there are times in my career of being an entrepreneur, of having Sandbox, where I've had to like go and work for other places, lose my apartment, sleep on this couch specifically. You know, I have such an emotional attachment to this couch and the one in my office because I first started in 300 square feet and now I have 2,000 square feet and another location. And, you know, I slept on this couch, like, you know, like for a very long, I think my knee to this day is still twist up from having to sleep on this couch. And like, you know, you have to be like just relentless with your sacrifice for your vision and just wanting to see it come to fruition. So yeah, the ability to break even is like, you know, you live on, you know, tuna and crackers, and you walk as much as you can, and you keep just like pouring money into your investment until it starts to return. You know, the return on investment, if you keep investing, it eventually comes. And so become an expert because you're actually doing the thing, not because you know how to mimic experts, because experts started off being non-experts. And I always tell people, if you're gonna try to like mimic me where I started so that you can grow. Don't mimic me where I'm at 10 years later after doing something. You know, all the things that I've learned already, like, you're gonna miss out on the opportunity to learn those things. So yeah. You can find me at rookz.ca, rookz.ca. You can find me at Rookz on Instagram. You know, I'm super excited for people to learn about entrepreneurship. As a young, you know, woman of color, as a black woman, I'm like really excited about teaching other people about business.